So let's break down what is Abo style flint knapping, commonly known as traditional flint knapping, Aboriginal style flint knapping, or stone and bone flint knapping. So Abo style flint knapping is really utilizing all and any resources that can come from the natural environment. It's in the form of stone, it's in the form of antlers, leathers and buckskins. Obviously you have to hunt some game, tan that hide out yourself. But again, it still comes from the natural environment. Wood, pieces of wood like this that you can incorporate into different styles of pressure flaking devices. And that's about it. Traditionally, in the Abo style of flint knapping, stone, bone, aka antler, is what is used to reduce a piece of stone from a large spall of stone like this into various preforms, bifaces, arrow points, any number of tools. Every tool serves a purpose, and that purpose is pretty easy to understand once you break down the actual tools you'll be using to flint knap. First, you need some form of leather, whether it's a single piece of buckskin, 2 pieces of buckskin, or something like this. This is a piece of bison. This is a leg pad. This leg pad has a loop. Put my foot through the loop, and I can cinch down on this guy right here and then sit on this piece of leather, and this is essentially a protection on my leg. This right here allows me to do large scale reduction and protect my leg from any stone fragments that could potentially cut my skin. If I don't have this piece of buckskin laid over the leg, 1, 2, just like this, can serve that same function. It allows me to protect the leg. More importantly, as I'm napping and I get little shards of stone, I can flip this guy and get rid of that stone off to the side. So some sort of leg pad in the form of leather, maybe mixed with some sort of fur like my bison leg pad, and you're good to go. Next are our hard hammer percussion devices, and these come in the form of cobbles or little granite pieces of stone. I have various sizes based on the size stone that I'm using and where I'm at in that reduction phase. I like these to be either egg-shaped or baseball, softball, cantaloupe shaped based on those sizes that you need. Maybe something the size of a golf ball like this, to maybe something like a big apple like this guy right here. 3 or 4 good stones will allow you to greatly reduce most of the situations and problems you could come across when flint knapping. You'll find over time the ends will kind of get chipped. This is one that I use pretty often. It's like an egg, holding my hammer stone with just my fingers and thumb, giving me a little bit more control, giving me a little bit more of a desired end state in that final biface I'm working on. Some of my soft percussion devices come in the form of antlers. Here's a piece of elk that's just starting off. It still has that initial cap that connects to the skull, and this is from a shed. Over time they get worked down, they get rounded down, they chip, they break away. But these are soft percussive devices. Different sizes for different results. Something nice and heavy like this is a piece of moose. This is when I'm trying to remove a large amount of stone but still have thinning flakes. This mule deer here is a medium size. It's allowing me to remove kind of a midpoint in that biface. My big moose right here is allowing me to remove quite a bit of stone from that biface. This is for smaller, tinier flakes once my biface gets a little bit thinner. These here are Antler Tines. These are used in the steps of pressure flaking, whether you're preparing platforms or you're doing a final phase or a final pass on your biface, turning it into a point. You'll use these guys to remove small flakes of stone from those edges, ultimately thinning out that biface. These here are also pressure flakers. They're a little bit longer, allowing the pressure flaker to bite into my forearm, giving me a little bit more leverage. This one here, which is a lot longer, I can tuck up into my shoulder and really push down onto that biface to pop flakes. Something like this right here is a piece of moose, this is a piece of caribou, and this is another piece of caribou. Caribous are really hard antler. It's one of the hardest, and it's great for pressure flaking. A couple other pieces of stone are abrasion stones. Now, your hammer stones can work as abrasion stones, but you can designate a specific piece of stone for abrading the edges of that biface when working on it. We all know that a sharp, razor sharp edge will crush under pressure, but an abraded edge, when a pressure flaker is applied to it, will pop a flake. And you can see on this one the grooves that I've put into it over time from rubbing a biface up and down it, removing flakes. This is a little bit smaller one. I can still pop some flakes with it, but it's been worn on one side that I've used for quite a bit of abrading. Lastly, I need hand pads. Hand pads really serve one purpose, and that is to use in conjunction with a pressure flaker to throw flakes into the hand pad and not into your hand. They just give you an opportunity to really bust flakes and ensure that you're not cutting up your hands by removing those flakes. With your hand pads, if you need more, you can always double them up, triple them up, and give yourself a little bit more rigid hand pad for guarding your hands. So that's pretty much for Abo Flintknapping, whether you're trying to make some stone point or thinning out a biface or just working stone. You know, Abo style is a way, it's not necessarily the way. It is the traditional way we flint knap for thousands and thousands of years, whether you're working just with a piece of stone, a long cut of caribou, an antler tine, or even some sort of soft percussive device. Doesn't really matter. You can resource these things out in the natural environment. And for me, that's the beauty of it, knowing that I can walk out in the bush, find some of these tools, whether it's just a simple stone like this, maybe create some razor sharp flakes like this to use as a knife or some sort of cutting tool. That's a pretty awesome feeling to have. All right, that's it. It's a basic breakdown of some of the Abo Flintknapping tools. Appreciate you watching.